When there's a devastating house fire, we often say the people who live there lost everything. But that phrase has an even deeper meaning to the Cheboiganing or Burt Lake band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. More than a century ago, they lost their homes, their land, and something even more significant that still haunts them to this day.
He came out on Monday, October 15th, while most of the men of the village, of Indian Village, were away at work. He had the sheriff with him and the deputies. They placed all of the possessions of those 20 cabin owners out into the road, and then they poured kerosene on those 20 cabins and set them afire. In other words, arson.
It's not often that the few seconds it takes to strike a match can echo for 115 years. But it has for the Cheboiganing Band of Indians. In the year 1900, they were burned out and kicked off their tribal land on the shore of Burt Lake. The justification? What some say was a trumped-up accusation of unpaid taxes on, even back then, prime lakefront property. Regardless of the reason, at the end of the day, tribal members were homeless, and their land, repeatedly granted to them in arguably tax-free status in federal treaties dating back to 1836, wasn't theirs anymore.
The property became John McGinn's, and within a few years he had built barns and he had built his lakeside house, and he was farming that property.
Those who lost their homes and their land surely felt the pain. But what no one knew that night was how long this would hurt. That what they actually lost wasn't just measured in acres. What they also lost was, without their land, federal recognition as a people.
They went through all the steps to be reorganized, but the Office of Indian Affairs basically said, well, you don't have any ancestral land, so we can't recognize you as a band.
Natives can all identify with, not having a place.
Bruce Hamlin has been trying to give his people a place. He's trying to right a wrong and fight a battle for the 300 tribal members now scattered around the country.
It's the only thing we've been trying to do for the last 115 years.
They want a place not only to live on and not only to call their own, but a place where they can do what their culture and their heritage requires of them.
There's a very deep-held, strong belief of stewardship over your land and where you come from, and you're supposed to take care of 7 generations. You think about the next 7 generations, and you think back about the foregoing 7 generations also. It's a very central thing.
Land would give them a central thing, but what might give them some closure on the past and hope for the future is getting back what they also lost more than a century ago, that the federal government reaffirm that they even exist as a people.
Well, it's just been frustrating, but we have a lot of hope. We really feel our chances are now better than ever. We have more support than ever before.
Well, there is reason for hope tonight. Representatives Dan Benishek and Debbie Dingell have introduced legislation in Congress to support federal reaffirmation of the Burt Lake Band. If recognized, the band members would be eligible for the same benefits and programs as other tribal groups. As for being granted the land owed to them, Bruce Hamlin doesn't expect to get back the original site of Indian Village. It's full of high-end lakefront summer homes. But he does hope that some place can be found so that he could take his future grandkids there and they could lay down their roots.